Today, millions of people are screaming at screens, faces painted, emotionally destroyed because 11 strangers wearing the right color lost a game. And you're sitting there feeling absolutely nothing. Somewhere deep down, you're wondering, am I broken? Am I missing some fundamental human experience? No, you're immune to mass hypnosis. And Carl Jung predicted exactly why you can see what they can't. If you're still here after hearing that, you're ready for what comes next. Here's what the soft psychology crowd will tell you. You just haven't found your sport yet. You're probably more introverted. Maybe you express passion differently. Bullshit. You don't care about sports because your brain fundamentally rejects manufactured tribal consciousness. This isn't about preference, this isn't about being less social. It's about being psychologically wired in a way that makes you immune to the very mechanism that hooks everyone else. And I know what you're actually experiencing. You're at the Super Bowl party. Everyone's losing their minds. You're trying to match their energy, trying to care about the score, the play, the fumble, and you can't. It's not that you won't participate. You literally cannot generate the emotion. Like trying to force yourself to cry at a commercial you don't find sad. That feeling of being an anthropologist watching a strange ritual, that's not social anxiety, that's consciousness. But here's what they're not telling you. Carl Jung didn't just study the individual psyche, he studied what happens when individuals dissolve into the mass. He called it psychic epidemics, when consciousness becomes optional and people start operating as one organism. Listen to this. The individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe. Not Nietzsche. Jung. He knew sports aren't just entertainment, they're modern tribal binding mechanisms. When someone watches their team, their brain releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone, the same chemical that makes you love your family. Their brain is literally tricking them into thinking these millionaire strangers are their clan. But here's what's happening in your brain that's completely different. You have lower tribal instinct activation. Not lower empathy, not less passion. Lower automatic group consciousness. Research from 2019 found that people with low sports interest showed significantly less us versus them thinking. Translation. Your brain doesn't automatically categorize humans into in-group and out-group based on arbitrary team loyalty. You know what Jung called the process of separating yourself from mass consciousness? Individuation. Becoming who you actually are instead of what the collective demands you be. And sports indifference? It's not a bug. It's a symptom of individuation in a world that runs on manufactured belonging. But wait, it gets darker. Because what's happening in the brain of a sports fanatic during a game is legitimately concerning. You know that feeling when you're about to open a present? That anticipation before the reveal? That's dopamine firing. Sports fans get that same hit every single play, every possession. Constant microdoses of anticipation and reward. fMRI scans show that watching your team activates these same reward centers as gambling. The uncertainty is what makes it so powerful. You don't know if your team will win. That unpredictability keeps the dopamine flowing. It's intermittent reinforcement, the most addictive reward schedule known to psychology. The same principle that makes slot machines work. Your brain? It's not triggered by vicarious competition, and this might be genetic. Research from the University of Chicago suggests that variations in dopamine receptor genes can predict how much someone cares about competitive spectator activities. Think about that. Your complete indifference to whether the Lakers win or lose might literally be in your DNA. But here's the part nobody wants to say out loud. You're watching everyone around you get high off a substance that doesn't work on you. You can see the addiction. You can see them organizing their entire Sunday around the next hit. You can see them emotionally dysregulated over something they cannot control, and you're supposed to pretend this is normal. And this is where most people turn away. Because the uncomfortable truth is this: you can't pretend because you're experiencing something Jung warned about, the horror of being conscious in an unconscious world. Listen to this quote. Loneliness does not come from having no people around, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important to oneself. That's why Super Bowl Sunday feels so alienating. It's not that you're antisocial. It's that you cannot communicate why this matters, because to you it fundamentally doesn't, and everyone else is speaking a language you don't have the brain chemistry to understand. Sports fans experience something called burgeoning, basking in reflected glory. When their team wins, we won. When their team loses, they lost. Notice the pronoun switch. Your brain doesn't do this. Your self-concept is more consistent. Your self-esteem doesn't need external victories performed by strangers to feel stable. But here's the shadow question nobody asks. What if your inability to care about sports is your psyche? Is refusal to outsource your sense of meaning to things you cannot control? What if this isn't about sports at all? What if this is about your unconscious understanding that emotional investment without agency is psychological surrender? Jung again. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are, not who the tribe demands, not who the culture programs, who you are. And if you are someone whose brain rejects manufactured meaning, whose dopamine system says no to vicarious competition, whose sense of self refuses to dissolve into collective consciousness, then pretending to care about sports isn't just uncomfortable, it's a betrayal of your individuation. So what do you do with this? Because consciousness without direction is just painful awareness. First, stop apologizing. Every time you say, "I'm just not a sports person," with that apologetic tone, you're validating their frame. You're accepting that their consciousness is normal and yours is deficient. No. Say this instead. I don't invest emotional energy in outcomes I can't influence. Watch what happens. Watch them try to argue with that and realize they can't without sounding unhinged. Second, recognize other individuated people. You're not the only one. That person at the party who's in the kitchen talking about literally anything else, that's your person. The woman who brought a book to the sports bar? She's awake too. Find your tribe. And yes, I see the irony. But there's a difference between conscious chosen community and unconscious mass belonging. Third, and this is the dangerous part, use your immunity strategically. You can see patterns other people can't. You can see when someone's entire emotional state is dependent on external validation. You can see when someone's identity is so fragile it requires 50,000 people in a stadium agreeing with them. That's not just psychological insight, that's power. Jung warned, knowing your own darkness is the best method for dealing with the darknesses of other people. Your darkness is this. You can be arrogant about your consciousness. You can look down on people who need tribal belonging. You can become isolated in your superiority. Don't. Your individuation isn't about being better. It's about being true. Here's what Jung didn't tell you, because he didn't have to. The cost of consciousness is loneliness. You will spend your life unable to fully participate in things that make other people feel connected. You will watch people bond over things that feel meaningless to you. You will be the person who can't pretend, and that's the price. But the alternative is worse. The alternative is pretending to be unconscious, and your psyche already told you it won't let you do that. If you're ready for psychology that doesn't coddle you, that doesn't tell you you're valid and special and enough, hit subscribe, because next I'm breaking down why quiet people aren't shy, they're strategically withholding, and what Nietzsche knew about silence as power. You don't care about sports because you can't participate in mass consciousness. That's not a deficit, that's individuation. And individuation is dangerous